Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Story, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. Great to have you in with us this week. I am Eoin Devereux, news and sports reporter with the Banner Press. I'm joined this week by Casper Wehrhahn, news reporter with the Banner. Of course, Casper, good to have you in as always.
Good to be here as usual, and excited to share the stories with the viewers today.
It's a good one this week. It's the first non-double section paper we've had in a few weeks, but still a jam-packed 20 pages of news for Neepawa and the surrounding region. First on the docket is the front page, of course. Very glad to be able to share this story that really took root online. Val Wilson, who you will know from NAC TV's Weekly Bingo, of course, took it upon herself to do something for the local firefighters. And she sort of got the idea rolling about doing a fundraiser for them to get some new equipment. This really took off. It really built a lot of momentum over the month of May, to the point where they were able to raise over $5,600 for Neepawa's volunteer fire department for a wide array of equipment that they are in the process of purchasing right now. And it just shows the generosity of the community and just the ingenuity of the individuals in this community when they put their mind to something. I reached out to Val to sort of get comment and get quotes on that, but she just wanted to. She said essentially, no, this is about the firefighters, this is about the work they do. She wanted to pass the praise over, so I understand that. But at the same time, kudos to Val and everyone who was involved with this online to make this happen. You can find the picture of the firefighters and some of the information on what they're going to be purchasing on the front page of the Banner Press. Very pleased to be able to share that one front and center this week. So.
Yeah, it's definitely a very good story, and you know, it's exactly the kind of story that we like to share in our paper. So if anyone out there is planning fundraisers like this, for whatever the cause might be, definitely give us a shout, and maybe we can do like a preview on it. We'd certainly be happy to do so, just to help it get more traction, because we do reach out to a wide swath of the Westman area there. So, the more eyes on it, the better.
Exactly. Any and all fundraisers or events going on, we definitely want to be able to share that story with you before, during, and of course after, with that happy conclusion, much like this one. Great to be able to see that type of money raised in such a short amount of time for some very important equipment and technology. All right, let's talk about another fundraising event to a degree. It's the distribution of grants. Each and every year, the beautiful Plains Community Foundation announces its grants that go out to community businesses, community organizations, and things like that. And they had a huge distribution this year. You may have seen it right here on NAC TV. They did their live announcement of all the grants and who would be receiving them recently on this television channel. $175,000 distributed, and it was really it made Kira Patterson's job a little bit easier, because she was able to, for the most part, to take that broadcast and sort of turned it into a story. I mean, we love it when we don't have to work quite as hard as we normally do, don't we?
It certainly helps, yeah, and like especially with something like this, there's a lot of names of things and numbers to keep track of, so if we've got a good copy of that, it definitely helps keep our stories accurate, which is what we want in the paper. So,
yep.
But yeah, lots of good causes getting some funds there. Just to name a couple, there's a whole breakdown on this page of who the money went out to. But just to name a couple there, we got the Franklin Memorial Hall, Neepawa Golf and Country Club, Neepawa Chapter Victoria's Quilts. That's a big thing in the community here. Beautiful Plains Museum, Touchwood Park Association, NACTV itself.
Just what's interesting is with Touchwood Park, the $12,000 for them If you go a little further into the paper, you'll be able to see the actual pictures of the presentation. You can find that on page 12, our Manitoba Port Community News sponsored page. You can find those pictures there. You can just see them right here, but to get a closer look and a better look, you're going to have to pick up a hard copy of this week's paper or check it out on mywestman.ca. Yeah, Touchwood really was sort of, they've been getting so many checks lately.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to stop, and that's a good thing. It's really going to help them cover the costs of finishing up their building in terms of just like finishing touches on the exterior, whatever they might need to finish on the interior and furnishing it. So good for them. I'm happy to see that happening. And it was really funny really to see how this worked out, because I actually was away for one day last week, I think.
So, last Thursday.
Yeah, last Thursday. So I had no idea like that Kira was doing a BPCF story. And then I think on Monday or like early Tuesday, got in the photos from Touchwood, and then seeing it all go down on the paper. It's like, oh, hey, nice. These two they work together.
It worked out quite nicely.
Yeah.
Love it when a plan that we didn't come up with comes together. That story is on page 2. Kira Passon was able to put that one together. She still put in the time and effort and the work on that and chased down a few extra quotes on that. So give it a read, find out about all these amazing organizations that are doing such good work in and around Neepawa. It's wonderful to be able to share those types of things. All right, now, Casper, you've got one for us here. A individual had I guess a practicum recently over at the Neepawa Vet Clinic. Is that the case?
Yeah, just very recently here. It is done now. But Julia Butterfield from Laurier, Manitoba, was at the Neepawa Vet Clinic from May 10th to the 28th for her practicum. Studied at Red River Collegiate, I believe, in Winnipeg. And she was there to help out and get some hands-on experience as a veterinary technician, or vet tech for short. It's something that she's very passionate about. She grew up on a farm her whole life, and she's really excited to learn. So you can read a little bit about the different things that she learned during her education and on her practicum. And a couple things she had to say about the community. She was very thankful to the community and the Neepawa Vet Clinic for having her here. So sounds like she had a good time.
It sounds like as well from the story that she's very interested in sort of, hopefully, ultimately, once her education is done, practicing in a rural environment. So that
absolutely, yeah. She loves the rural area. It's very similar to where she's from, and in rural areas you tend to get to work with a bunch of different animals, large and small, and that's really what she wants. She's so interested in getting to do a variety of things with different animals. So I hope she finds a good spot for that.
Oh yeah, that's very interesting, and it's great to see the younger generations seeing the possibilities in smaller communities. There was a lot of times, and especially Casper, when I was in and around your age, way back in the day, a lot of people my age wanted to go to the city. They thought that's where it was all happening, that's where it was at. And maybe at the time that was the case, but the cities have become so just overpopulated, cramped, and just there's no room to breathe in some of them. And the opportunities job-wise just aren't what people are expecting them to be anymore. So there seems to be, the last few years, an exodus of a lot of people getting out of the cities into smaller communities, because communities like Neepawa, even though we're small, but we're still about 5,000 people, we still have all the amenities you need, all the opportunities you need, and again, we're pretty close to the Brandon. You know, if you need to pop in, you can go over there. Pretty close to Portage, you can pop in over there. It's only a 2-hour drive to Winnipeg. I mean, what else do you need? This is turning a bit into a tourism commercial here, you know.
A little bit, perhaps, but that's okay. I mean, Neepawa, it does have stuff to offer, and I'm glad that people are seeing the value in that and coming to this town, whether it's permanently or temporarily, for things like practicum.
That's right. Wonderful to hear this type of story about an individual going after something that they truly enjoy, and really hope to sort of, hopefully in a couple of years' time, she'll be one of our full-time vets for the area or somewhere in the area. Mm-hmm. All right, Casper, we're going back to you once again. This is a story, I got to admit, before I read it, I was completely out of the loop on this. I had no idea what Wise Kinetic Energy was. Walk us through what was happening there.
Well, I can certainly say I was the same way. I'll be totally honest, I'd never heard about it before. So when I volunteered to pick up the story, because I had no story leads of my own at the time, I completely cleared out my list. I was like, I don't know what I'm getting into. What is this? And the ad that we had in the paper previously did have a little bit of information, but not quite as much that I would have needed to get started there. So I went on the website and I did some digging. Then, of course, I contacted the individual that I interviewed. It was very interesting. Wise Kinetic Energy is essentially a not-profit outreach program that helps kids get into STEM, which is like science, technology, engineering, and math, so STEM. In particular, those that might have additional barriers for one reason or another getting into those fields. And it is they're actually doing virtual summer camps this year because they traditionally would go out to the classrooms themselves with the materials and teach there. But obviously that can't happen this year with COVID. So they're doing virtual online programs there for youth in grades like 3 to 5 and grades 6 to 8. Sort of depends what thing you sign up for there. They have varying levels of like what you do for each one. And the choices for this summer are 2 summer clubs, one called STEAM, Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math, and another one called Space Farm. Space Farm really picked up my interest because I was like, what is that about? And it sounds pretty cool. I think the kids are going to have a lot of fun with that, whoever signs up for that. Because you're basically trying to, if you were in space, figuring out how you would grow food there. And it kind of like teaches you like how technology and agriculture can work together. It's really neat. So definitely check that out and give it a read.
What I really liked about the story as well is that unfortunately, over generations, the concept of science in all its fields has sort of, maybe not unfortunately, but has somehow become the white guy field. And this diversifies the field. There are so many intelligent individuals. It reaches out to Aboriginal individuals. It reaches out to women. It reaches out to gender diverse individuals. They very specifically sort of reach out to these individuals who growing up might not have felt that science is an option for them in terms of any of those fields. And that's just not the case. I mean, the importance of broadening the horizons like this is so significant in my estimation. I could be wrong. I didn't study science. I usually fell asleep during that class. So.
You know, that's fair. Yeah. Depending on the science. Well, actually, no. I found both sciences that I took quite interesting. I wasn't very good at chem just because it involves a lot of math, and I'm not good at math. Yeah. But it was interesting. But yeah, it's very good to see programs like this out there, and that I got to learn about it. And as well, I should say that they do have some options for people who are tired of online learning or, you know, that sort of thing. So definitely take a look at that as well. That is mentioned in the article. I believe they print out some booklets, like activity booklets that you can do at home. So yeah, definitely different options there for everybody.
That's right. I really like that. And again, it's never too late to learn a little bit, whether it's through the classroom, whether it's through online learning, or whether it's through your local newspaper. Another little hidden plug there. So let's keep learning, shall we? And we're going to learn a little bit more about a major construction project that is set to go in Neepawa. We have talked about this before. It was on the front page of one of our papers in early April, the announcement of the new police station for the town of Neepawa and the surrounding community. Spruce Plains RCMP will be inhabiting that building. It's going to be pretty much twice as big as the existing building they have here in Neepawa. Brand new state-of-the-art technology, cells, the whole 9 yards. The next question was, who's going to build it and when's it going to start? Well, we got that answer for you. During the most recent council meeting, which occurred on Tuesday, they decided they're going to go with LCL Construction. They're a company based out of Carmen, Manitoba, that are going to be building this facility for, if I believe correctly, I'm doing this off the top of my head, $4.4 million. Let me read my article. Yes, $4.4 million is correct. That sounds like a lot of cheddar for something like this, but they set aside $5 million for it initially. And plus, there are very specific guidelines that need to be followed in terms of building something like this to meet the needs of the RCMP. So that's the reason it is what it is. But it's great to hear that it's going to be moving forward. The plan right now is early July, very early July, July 1st, I believe, but that's Canada Day, maybe July 2nd. Let's give LCL a day off, let them come in on the 2nd, they can start building then. Of course, and the plan right now, Casper, is that it's going to take roughly about a year. So this time next year, they should be putting the final coats of paint on that thing and have it ready to go, which I think is kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how things can, especially with construction, how they can seem to roll really fast. Like Touchwood, for example, another shout out to them. I don't remember when we did an initial story on it, but all of a sudden it just seemed to be like, oh, hey, we have a new building. I was like, what?
I think it was early September. I think the leaves were just starting to fall.
Yeah.
In and around there.
Yeah, it really seemed to shoot up because, like, I know, and of course it doesn't help that I'm not down in that area often. So when we heard about it, I went down there to, like, take the first couple check presentation photos. I was like, this got done really fast. Holy cow. Okay. Good for you. Yep. And hopefully we see the same thing happen with the police station here. I think it'll be a good building.
What's interesting, even with the police station and its location just right next to the new fire department hall, is you look down the field there. As of late, you see some houses going up there as well. So all this talk over all the years about the development on the CN property, when's it going to happen? Who's going to start doing it? When are we going to see some progress? Well, we're finally at that point where we are seeing progress, and it really is quite exciting. That field, which was just empty for so long, soon there's going to be a generation of people that don't even remember it being a field, which amazes me. I mean, just the growth in this community is just really starting to take off. And a big part of it is going to be the police station. There were 11 different companies that actually bid on this contract, which is good to see. You want competition. LCN was the low bidder. There were two companies that sort of were out of there. So there were 9 that came in the final bidding. One of them, the tender came in just a little too late, and the other one, some of the wording I think may have been a little incorrect. They didn't dot the proper I's and cross the proper T's. So, but there were still 9, which is good. And LCN is going to be moving forward on this, and I'm looking forward to seeing the inside of it once, and then hopefully never seeing the inside of a police station again once it's all said and done.
Fingers crossed, I guess, hey?
Exactly. It's been warm the last couple days. It's been the start of summer around here, and usually that means people start revving up for graduations for high schools and whatnot. But we, again, Casper, are just dealing with COVID-19 and the restrictions it sort of puts on graduations. And Kira Passon wrote up a story this week just exactly about that. Because there's still so much uncertainty out there, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty, and that is very much the response that we got back when Kira did her story. A lot of that uncertainty comes from not knowing what the restrictions will be like come grad time. Currently, a lot of people are waiting for the current restrictions to ease up, hopefully on June 12th, and see where they can go from there. Some places do have tentative plans based on what the restrictions might be,
and that's sort
such
of
as Glenello School.
That's sort of a drive-in sort of plan they have in place right now,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah, they're planning a drive-in sort of ceremony there. So family members will be in cars that are spaced apart while the ceremony is taking place, and whoever is graduating will be spaced apart as well. And of course, when they're not in their seats, they're going to be wearing masks. So that's that current plan, and I think a lot of places are very much thinking the same.
Yeah.
I'd have to refresh my memory on the last bit of the story there, but yeah, there's
Well,
a
the
lot
same
of
with
a
Neepawa,
lot
yeah.
of uncertainty, yeah, on what will and won't happen this year, which is unfortunate because Kira does mention it, but things seem more uncertain this year than they did last year, which is perhaps a little bit ironic because we had no idea quite what we were getting into with COVID last year. I mean, we were starting to get a pretty good idea, but yeah, it's pretty up in the air right now.
Yeah, and it is a bit of a shame for the young people out there. Personal story, my nephew graduated high school last year. Even though their family has moved down to the United States, so Washington State, they still had to go through these restrictions. So getting video sent to me of, oh, here's Tyler's graduation, and you just see it, from a couple cars lined up. He's walking across, everybody's separated out, wearing the masks, all that. It means something. It's got to mean something to those individuals who put all the work in and put all the time in to be able to celebrate, but they can't celebrate it the way that they deserve to, which is really unfortunate. It's unfortunate that these people this year have to go through that again, and it's unfortunate that who knows what's going to happen next year. My niece as well will be graduating next year. So hopefully she doesn't have to go through the same thing my nephew went through last year.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see, won't we?
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And I guess one thing for this year, and it doesn't make it suck any less, of course, but one thing about this year is that perhaps people are expecting it more, that they might not be able to do, the typical grad ceremony stuff, whereas last year people were really, really hoping that things wouldn't be so bad and they could hold a grad, and then they just found out that they couldn't. People were really upset, understandably, about that, because it is a big event when you graduate from high school. So
Yep.
we'll just have to see. Fingers crossed. Either way, I hope that the communities are able to do something and that all the students have fun.
Exactly, yep. All right, going to talk a little bit about some of the letters and some of the editorials we've done for this week. First off, the letters. We had so many letters. We were able to get 4 of them in for this week, 2 pages almost. We apologize. We have more letters we couldn't get on the page. We try and get as much space out there as possible. We're going to get as many of them in there for next week as well as we can. We want your perspectives. We want your opinions on things, and we do appreciate it. So if you send us a letter and you don't see it in the immediate week, just know there's a reason, and that reason is most likely that we've got a lot of other letters that sort of maybe came in before yours. We want to be as fair as possible when it comes to something like that. So you can find that obviously on page 5, and the carryover as well is on page, if I remember correctly, page 14. Mm-hmm. Pretty much all of page 14 is just letters. Some different concepts, some talking about the pandemic on a few of them, talking about the confusion over the census. We've had stories on that. Talking about some anti-inflammatory, anti-parasite drugs a person suggests maybe we need to look into for COVID-19. This is something that is getting valid research right now. It's not approved by the World Health Organization but it is something that is being researched because they do see that it could have some potential. They're not saying it will, but it could. So keep an open mind in each and every one of these. And if you have an opinion, whether you agree or completely disagree, give us a call, send us a letter, send us an email, because we'd love to be able to hear from you. Opinions are a good thing. Once a month, I get to have an opinion, and I put it on the pages of the Banner Press. And this week was one of those times where my editorial column like I see them, was in the paper. And this month, timely, because I focused on sports. God, it's nice to be able to focus on sports every once in a while. I miss that. And the former Neepawa natives, the Neepawa Junior A Hockey Club, is going to be announcing on Monday, June 7th, their new name. They're going to be unveiling their new logo. They're going to be unveiling a whole bunch of merchandise and new jerseys, I believe, as well, on the day of. It's going to be very exciting. There's been a lot of talk over the years about the name. We're past that point right now. This is something that has been debated publicly in a lot of different places. And the decision's been made. The team is moving forward. The team is making progress in changing the name and changing the whole mindset. And the new logo is part of that. The editorial I have this week is about, okay, they've made that decision. Now, everybody who talked about it for years talked about, I will never support this team as long as they got that name. And there are some of you out there. I've talked to you about this. So what are you going to do about this now? What am I going to do about this now? Because behind the scenes, for 2 years I was on the board, and for 2 years I sort of pushed them to make a change. I made suggestions, I made up jersey designs and all of that, and one of them, a third jersey option, was used, but it wasn't until last year the decision was finally made, after I was well off the board for a couple years. So even though I hadn't been very public about it, I still sort of pushed for a name change. So now I need to step up. You either put up or shut up. And because of that, I am actually going to give the team, with no obligation, I'm not expecting a hat, a t-shirt, I'm going to give them $50. Okay, I only got $10 on me right now, so I got to go to the bank right after the show and get about $40 more, and I'm going to give it to them because changing identity costs a lot of money. So anybody who said we need to change the name, you handed this team a $10,000 to $15,000 bill. So I very much hope that you will support them by giving them a few dollars here, $2, $5, $10, whatever it may be. I have information in the column where you can e-transfer money to the team to help support them. And I hope that even if you're not a fan of hockey, hopefully you're a fan of Neepawa, because this team represents Neepawa when they travel all over the province. So let's support them in that way. Every penny counts when it comes to small town hockey. So hopefully you step up for this. I put my money where my mouth is, and I hope each and every one of you will also. So we'll have that story about what the new logo and what the new name is next week, and we will be back with you next week. Appreciate very much you coming in and sharing this half hour with us. Casper, thank you for coming in and sharing some of the stories you were able to get together for us this week. Absolutely. Always good to be here, and I look forward to appearing sometime in the future. If you have a story idea as well, give us a call, 476-3401, or contact us at news@neepawabanner.com. We love to hear from you in any way, shape, or form. And once again, thank you for taking a little bit of your time to share with us right here on The Story Behind the Stories.